Thanks for joining us today on Prime Wealth.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us, especially because we're diving into a topic that's really important as we navigate our financial journeys, budgeting for health and wellness expenses.
Absolutely, Alex. As we get older, those expenses can really add up, and it's crucial to have a plan in place, whether it's for regular checkups, fitness classes, or even holistic treatments.
Right. And it's not just about the expenses themselves. It's about how they fit into your overall financial picture.
So today we're going to cover a few key points, like how to prioritize your health and wellness in your budget, strategies for managing unexpected medical costs, and even tips for finding resources that can help you save money while staying healthy.
Plus, we'll touch on the importance of building an emergency fund specifically for health-related expenses. Because, life can throw us some curveballs.
For sure, it's all about being prepared and making informed choices.
Exactly. So let's jump right in and start exploring how to create a budget that not only supports your financial goals, but also prioritizes your health and well-being.
Alex, when we think about budgeting, especially for health and wellness expenses, it's not just about numbers, right? It's about our peace of mind, especially as we get older.
Absolutely, Jordan. And I think it's important to recognize that for many people over 40, the stakes feel higher. Our health really starts to come into sharper focus. And the reality is that healthcare costs can be a huge part of our financial picture.
Right, and it's not just about unexpected medical bills. It's also about planning for things like routine checkups, prescriptions, and even holistic care, which can really add up.
Exactly. For instance, I had a client, let's call her Sarah. She's in her mid-50s, and when she came to me, she had this attitude of, I'm fine, I don't need to budget for health expenses. But after a routine checkup revealed some issues, her perspective changed. Suddenly, she was faced with costs she hadn't anticipated.
Oh wow, that's tough. I can see how that would be a wake-up call.
It really was. And it's not just the direct costs of healthcare, there's also the emotional toll that can come with health challenges. Sarah found herself more stressed, which impacted her overall well-being. And when you're stressed, you might not make the best financial decisions.
That's such a good point. The emotional side of money is so intertwined with our health. It's like, if we're not feeling well or secure, it can affect everything else in our lives.
Precisely. And with inflation rising, healthcare costs are only expected to increase. According to some studies, healthcare spending is projected to grow faster than the overall economy. For those of us over 40, that means we need to start thinking about these expenses more seriously.
Yeah, I recently read that by the time we hit retirement age, a couple might need upwards of $300,000 just for healthcare alone. That's a staggering amount.
It really is, and many people are unprepared for that reality. It's not just about having a 401k or a pension. It's about understanding how these health expenses fit into our long-term financial plans.
And it's tough, because health issues can often be unpredictable. What if you suddenly need physical therapy or a surgery? It can throw a wrench in your budget if you haven't planned for it.
Exactly. A good example is another client of mine. Let's call him Tom. He was very active, loved hiking, biking, you name it. But then he had a fall and ended up needing knee surgery. His recovery process took longer than he anticipated, and he found himself missing work. That not only added to his medical bills, but it also impacted his income.
That's a double whammy for sure. So it's not just about the direct costs, but also the indirect costs, like lost wages.
Right, and I think that's why budgeting for health and wellness expenses is essential. It's about creating a safety net. If Tom had set aside a specific budget for health-related expenses, he might have felt more secure during that time.
It sounds so simple, but it can make a huge difference. Like, if you have a dedicated health fund, it takes away some of the stress when unexpected expenses come up.
Exactly. And I think there's a psychological aspect to it too. Knowing you have that budget can give you peace of mind. You're less likely to panic when something unexpected happens, and you can focus on your recovery rather than financial strain.
And it's not just about the big expenses, right? Little things count too. Like, if you're budgeting for a gym membership or healthy meal prep, those are investments in your long-term health.
Yes, those can be proactive expenses that help prevent larger health issues down the line. It's all interconnected. Plus, Investing in wellness can lead to less spending on healthcare in the future.
It's like a win-win. And budgeting for things like mental health resources or wellness classes can be vital, especially as we manage stress and life changes in our 40s and 50s.
Definitely. And let's not forget about the impact of our social lives. Engaging in community activities or group classes can help maintain mental wellness, but those can also come with costs.
So it sounds like budgeting isn't just about surviving. It's about thriving, making sure we're set up for a healthy, fulfilling life as we age.
Well said, Jordan. And as we think about all this, it's crucial to consider the broader context too. With economic trends shifting, more people are realizing that relying solely on traditional retirement funds isn't always enough.
Right, and it's about being proactive rather than reactive. If we can anticipate these expenses, we can better integrate them into our financial plans.
Exactly. So, for those who might feel overwhelmed, it's about starting small. Maybe set aside a percentage of your income each month specifically for health and wellness.
That's a great strategy, and it doesn't have to be a huge amount. Even small contributions can add up over time.
Absolutely. And it's all about creating that habit of saving for health expenses. It's like building a muscle. The more you do it, the easier it becomes.
It's empowering to take control of our financial health, especially as we plan for the years ahead.
So, as we transition into discussing core strategies for budgeting specifically for health and wellness expenses, let's keep that empowerment in mind. It's all about equipping ourselves for a healthier financial future.
So, Alex, let's dive into some practical strategies for budgeting, specifically around health and wellness expenses. Where do we even start?
Well, a good first step is to break down your health and wellness costs into categories. You know, like insurance premiums, out-of-pocket medical expenses, gym memberships, supplements, and even mental health services. This way you can see where your money is going.
That makes sense. It's kind of like creating a mini budget just for health and wellness. But how do we determine what's essential and what's not?
Exactly. A good rule of thumb is to prioritize expenses based on necessity. For instance, think about your health insurance as a non-negotiable. But maybe you can evaluate if that premium yoga class is essential, or if a home workout would suffice.
Right. So we should categorize them by necessity. What about creating a budgeting formula?
A helpful formula to remember is the 50/30/20 rule. You allocate 50% of your income to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings. For health and wellness, you might want to push a little more into the needs category, especially if you have ongoing medical conditions.
That's interesting. So if someone has a chronic condition, they might need to allocate, say, 60% of their needs budget to healthcare.
Exactly, and it's about being realistic. If you find that you're spending more on healthcare, adjust your budget accordingly. But don't forget to leave some room for preventative care, like gym memberships or wellness classes, which can save you money in the long run.
Can you give me an example of how that could look in a monthly budget?
Sure. Let's say you have a monthly income of $4,000. Following the 50/30/20 rule, your monthly budget would break down like this: $2,000 for needs, $1, $200 for wants, and $800 for savings. If you have chronic health expenses, you might allocate $1, $200 to healthcare, which is 30% of your income, and then adjust your wants down to $1,000.
That sounds pretty manageable. But what if someone has fluctuating health expenses, like unexpected medical bills?
Great question. It's important to have a cushion for those unforeseen expenses. You could create a separate health emergency fund to cover unexpected costs. Maybe aim for 3 to 6 months worth of medical expenses saved up.
So if someone typically spends $200 a month on medical expenses, they might want to save between $600 and $1, $200 in that fund?
Exactly. And remember, it doesn't have to be all at once. You can contribute a small amount each month until you reach that target.
And what about tools? Are there any budgeting apps or spreadsheets that could help track these expenses?
Definitely. Tools like Mint or YNAB, You Need a Budget, can be great for tracking all your expenses, including health and wellness. They allow you to categorize your spending and can even send reminders for upcoming bills.
That sounds super helpful. But sometimes there are also those sneaky expenses, like supplements or wellness-related subscriptions. How do we account for those?
Good point. It's easy to overlook those. One strategy is to set a monthly cap on those discretionary wellness expenses. Maybe decide that you'll spend no more than $50 a month on supplements or wellness subscriptions.
So budgeting that way keeps those costs in check?
Exactly. You can even have a wellness fund. Each month, you can decide how to spend that money on things like classes, supplements, or even a new fitness gadget.
I love that idea. It gives you the freedom to explore without breaking the bank.
And it keeps you accountable. You might find that you don't need to spend your entire budget every month.
That's a good mindset to have. What about tracking your spending? How often should someone do that?
Ideally, review your budget weekly or bi-weekly. This helps you stay on top of any fluctuations in expenses and allows you to adjust before the month is over.
So it's kind of like a check-in with yourself?
Exactly. And if you notice you're spending more in one category than planned, you can shift funds from another area rather than going over budget.
That's really practical. And it sounds less daunting when you break it down like that.
It is. Plus, remember to celebrate small victories. If you manage to stick to your budget one month, treat yourself to a little something, within budget, of course.
That's a great way to stay motivated. And what about long-term planning? How do we factor in future health costs, say, as we age?
Well, it's important to factor in potential health expenses as you get older. You might want to consider things like long-term care insurance or setting aside specific savings for retirement that accounts for increased healthcare costs.
So it's about being proactive rather than reactive.
Exactly. The earlier you start planning and saving, the better off you'll be when those expenses arise.
And what about common pitfalls? Are there specific mistakes people often make when budgeting for health and wellness?
Absolutely. One common pitfall is underestimating medical expenses. People often think, oh, my insurance covers most of it, but they forget about the copays, deductibles, or out-of-network costs.
That's good to keep in mind. What else?
Another mistake is not accounting for lifestyle changes. For example, if you start a new workout routine, that might mean extra cost for gear or a gym membership.
So it's important to remain flexible with our budgets as life changes?
Definitely. Being adaptable is key. And remember, it's okay to adjust your budget as your health needs evolve.
It sounds like a continuous learning process.
It is. And the more you practice, the more intuitive it becomes.
All right, let's transition to those common pitfalls in budgeting for health and wellness, because I think our listeners would really benefit from avoiding those mistakes. One thing I see a lot is people underestimate their health and wellness expenses. They think, oh, I'll just spend a little here and there, but those little amounts can add up really quickly.
Absolutely, Jordan. I mean, think about it. A gym membership, organic groceries, health supplements. It all sounds manageable until you realize how it can stretch your budget.
Right. And then there's the tendency to ignore those costs. People might think, I'm healthy now, so I don't need to budget for that. But health can change in an instant, right?
Exactly. I've worked with clients who were perfectly fine one day and then faced unexpected medical expenses the next. It's a wake-up call. One client I had thought she was invincible. She didn't account for her annual checkups or any preventative care, thinking those costs were unnecessary.
What happened?
Well, she ended up needing surgery that could have been caught earlier had she been more proactive. Not only did it cost her more in the long run, but she also had to deal with recovery time that affected her job. It was a tough lesson.
That's a perfect example. And it's not just about medical expenses, right? There are wellness expenses, too, like mental health care. Many people shy away from budgeting for therapy or counseling, thinking it's a luxury rather than a necessity.
Definitely. Mental health is just as important as physical health. I remember a couple who was so focused on saving for retirement that they neglected their mental wellness. They didn't factor in costs for therapy sessions that could have helped them navigate stress and anxiety.
And that stress can affect their financial decisions, right? It can create a cycle of poor choices.
Exactly. It's so interconnected. Another common pitfall is not factoring in seasonal expenses. Like gym memberships that are often discounted in January but come with a hefty renewal fee in July?
Oh, yes. People jump into those deals thinking they're saving money, but then they forget to cancel or they don't use it enough to justify the cost.
Right. And then they end up paying for something that just sits there unused. I've seen clients with gym memberships who haven't stepped foot in the gym for months, yet they're still paying every month.
It's like throwing money away. And what about people who think they can just handle everything themselves? Like, I'll just Google my symptoms, or I don't need a nutritionist, I can figure it out on my own.
Yes, that's a big one. Self-diagnosing can lead to a lot of misinformation and, in some cases, neglecting real issues. I had a client who tried to manage his diabetes through diet alone without consulting a professional, and it really backfired.
That must have been tough for him.
It was. He ended up needing medication and had to deal with complications that could have been avoided. The costs increased not just for his health, but also for his finances and quality of life.
It's a reminder that investing in professionals like dietitians, personal trainers, or even life coaches can actually save you money in the long run.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the I'll deal with it later mentality. People often think they can push health expenses to the back burner, but that can lead to much larger expenses down the road.
Right. You might think, I'll just skip this year's flu shot. But then you end up getting sick and missing work. That's lost income, plus medical bills.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not just the immediate cost, but the long-term implications on your health. It's like a domino effect.
So how do we recognize these danger signs? What should people be looking for?
Well, if you find yourself frequently putting off medical appointments or wellness activities because you think they're not worth the investment, that's a red flag. Also, if your health expenses are always a surprise, it's time to reevaluate your budgeting approach.
That makes a lot of sense. If you're consistently overspending in that category, it might indicate a lack of planning. Keeping track of your expenses is crucial.
Right. And if you're experiencing stress or anxiety about your health finances, that's another warning sign. It shouldn't feel overwhelming. Budgeting should bring you peace of mind.
I love that perspective. It's about creating a sustainable plan that promotes health and wellness rather than feeling like a burden.
Exactly. And remember, it's okay to ask for help, whether that's from a financial advisor or a healthcare professional.
So true. And when you start to feel that pinch in your budget, it's a good idea to take a step back and reassess.
Yes, and maybe even identify areas where you can cut back so that you can allocate more funds to your health and wellness without feeling guilty about it.
So, what are some practical steps listeners can take to prevent these pitfalls?
Well, first I'd recommend creating a dedicated health and wellness budget category. This should include everything from gym memberships to vitamins and any copays for doctor visits.
That's a great start, and maybe tracking your expenses for a month or two to see where your money is actually going?
Absolutely. Once you know what you're spending, you can identify patterns and make adjustments. If you notice you're spending a lot on takeout, for instance, you could shift some of that money toward healthier meal prep.
Great idea. And how about setting reminders for regular checkups or wellness activities?
Yes, scheduling those appointments can make a huge difference. It takes the pressure off and ensures you're staying on top of your health.
And if someone finds themselves in a tough spot, it's important to know it's never too late to adjust your plan.
Exactly. There's always room for improvement. Taking small, actionable steps can really help you regain control over your health finances.
So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together. So Alex, what are some immediate steps our listeners can take to start budgeting for their health and wellness expenses?
Well, one of the first things I'd suggest is to track your current spending. Just jot down everything you spend on health and wellness for a month. Things like gym memberships, supplements, healthy groceries, and even wellness apps. It gives you a clear picture of where your money is going.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like taking an inventory, right? What about something more structured, like budgeting tools or apps?
Absolutely. There are some great budgeting apps out there that can help you keep track of all this. For example, apps like Mint or YNAB, You Need a Budget, are really user-friendly. They let you categorize your spending, set limits, and even give you reminders if you're getting close to your budget.
I've heard good things about YNAB. It's supposed to be great for helping people prioritize their spending.
Right, and what's cool is that YNAB teaches you to allocate your spending based on your priorities. So if health and wellness are at the top of your list, you can make sure your budget reflects that.
And if someone's not super tech savvy, what about simpler methods?
Good point. A simple spreadsheet can be just as effective. You can set up a basic layout with columns for categories like gym memberships, healthy food, medical expenses, and so on. Just update it weekly or monthly. It's all about finding a method that works for you.
I love that idea. It feels less overwhelming, especially for someone just starting out.
Exactly. And another step is to create separate savings accounts specifically for health-related expenses. You could set up an account for things like gym fees, medical bills, and wellness classes. This way, you're not mixing these expenses with your regular spending.
That's a smart way to keep things organized. What about some habits people can build to support their budgeting efforts?
Great question. One habit I'd recommend is meal prepping. Planning your meals helps you avoid those last-minute takeout runs that can blow your budget. You can set aside a few hours each week to plan and prepare your meals.
And it can even be fun. You can try new recipes or get the family involved.
Definitely. And another habit is to schedule regular check-ins with yourself, maybe once a month. Review your spending, see if you're hitting your health and wellness goals, and adjust your budget if needed.
So it's like a personal finance wellness check, huh?
Exactly. And speaking of wellness, consider investing in a good quality fitness tracker or health app. Many of them offer insights into your physical activity and can motivate you to stay on track. Some even allow you to set goals and track your progress.
That sounds really encouraging.
Yeah, and if you're into reading, there are some excellent books out there on budgeting and health. The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey is a classic. And for a health twist, The Wellness Project by Phoebe Lapine touches on balancing wellness with budgeting.
Those are great suggestions. It's all about integrating health into our financial lives, right?
Exactly. And remember, starting small is key. You don't have to overhaul your entire budget overnight. Even just allocating an extra $20 a week to your health and wellness can add up over time.
That's so true. It's about sustainable changes rather than drastic shifts.
Right. And if you find a particular area of wellness you want to focus on, like mental health or nutrition, you could set a specific budget for that. It makes it easier to prioritize what's most important to you.
And that way, you're spending on what truly matters to you personally.
Yes, and don't forget to look into any employer benefits or health savings accounts. Sometimes employers offer wellness stipends or programs that can supplement your budget.
That's a fantastic tip. It's like finding hidden money that can help with those expenses.
Exactly. And if you have medical expenses, consider talking to your healthcare provider about payment plans. Many practices offer flexible payment options if you need to spread out costs.
That sounds really helpful, especially for bigger expenses.
For sure. And lastly, keep your goals visible. Whether it's a vision board or a simple note on your fridge about why you're budgeting for health and wellness, keeping your goals top of mind can help motivate you to stick to your plan.
I love that idea. It's a great way to stay focused and inspired.
So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together and head into our outro.
All right, as we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on some of the key takeaways from our conversation about budgeting for health and wellness expenses.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest points we made was the importance of being proactive. You really need to set aside funds for health-related costs before they arise, right?
Exactly. And then there's the idea of prioritizing your wellness. It's not just about the budget, but about investing in your long-term health.
Right, and that ties into our third point, tracking those expenses. By keeping an eye on where your money goes, you can make adjustments and really see where you might need to allocate more.
And don't forget about flexibility. Life is unpredictable, so having a buffer in your budget can make a huge difference when unexpected health costs pop up.
Absolutely, and I think we emphasize the value of seeking out preventive care too. It might seem like an upfront cost, but it often saves you money in the long run.
Well, it's all about building a sustainable approach to your finances, especially regarding health and wellness. You want to feel secure and empowered as you navigate these expenses.
For sure. And remember, making these adjustments doesn't have to be overwhelming. Small, consistent steps can lead to big changes over time.
So if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you know someone over 40 who could benefit from this kind of advice, definitely pass it along.
Yeah, and next time, we're going to delve into international budgeting. We'll cover currency exchange and travel tips, which is super relevant if you're planning trips abroad.
That's going to be really exciting. So until next time,
Take care of yourselves and your finances.
bye for now.